the context of this word, the context here of that word accepting, doesn't mean approval. Doesn't mean don't change. It means that additional word that was given was acknowledging. This is the reality. This is what's going on. It's acknowledging, for example, raga dvesha abnivesha, the notion that we take on, and we take on, and there's things that we identify ourselves as being not me. There's me and there's not me. And as I have, I don't know whether the number's 1,000 or 1,000,000 or 1,000,000,000, whatever it is, but I have a whole bunch of these that I've identified me on the basis of this, and I've identified myself on the basis of a lot of these. I am this, I'm not that. And we've been doing it for a very long time. And there's a natural, yoga is called kleshas, and there's a natural klesha that comes after that, abnivesha, fear of death, the fear of the loss of those identities. It's natural. And the more we come to see that this applies to me, this is not just the theory in the book. Therein we're accepting. We're accepting, and then when any silly thing comes to the mind, in the privacy of our own mind, we're more willing to, oh, look at that. Look at that silly habit of mine. We get to ask ourselves, is this serving me? Is this useful? Is this not useful? Not living up to somebody else's standards of what they say is acceptable behavior. If somebody else says it, and you've chewed on it, you agree with it, then it's yours. It's not about theirs. Bible says love your neighbor. Do you think it's a good idea? What if your neighbor was Charles Manson? How do you love Charles Manson?
From afar.
Thank you. I was just going to say that. It's probably a good idea. At a distance. Love Charles Manson at a distance. So, what does it mean to love a guy that's got some problems, to say the least? Doesn't mean we hang out. There's some form of attitude that we can have that's okay with everybody. That's realizing that at the core of every being there's probably purity. Now, I'm not saying that as a religionist, telling you that you're going to go to hell if you don't believe that and subscribe to it. No. Yogi says, let me chew on it. Let me take the principle and chew on it and see if it sounds right for me. Use my own judgment. And if it makes sense, then it's mine, and I use it. I don't possess it, but I use it. So what if I have an ill thought about somebody else? Do you beat up on yourself, or do you accept? In what way do you accept that I have an ill thought towards somebody else? Well, if I have really paid attention, and I've accepted the nature of how this mind works, understanding is probably going to come that that's not very clear thinking. And so what do I need? What do I need to do? I need to train myself. In what way, where, what do I need to train? I need to train this level of my being. We say each of the levels of our being. That's an aspect of one of the levels. This is what meant by these broad principles. So there's a part somewhere in there, in the storage on the hard drive, that says, oh, that's just the way I am, and But we see through that, don't we? That's the understanding part. If we don't have that understanding, then we probably haven't really acknowledged what's going on, and we probably haven't really done much observing. If we've done observing, and we've acknowledged, and in that spirit accepted, this is the reality of what's going on, we're probably going to have some understanding. That's clear understanding. And then based on that is going to be training. Then I'm going to train my mind. That's a silly idea. Boy, you've come up with some silly ones before, but this one's the icing on the cake, mine. That's just who I am. No, we've been doing this long enough. I know the truth is that's not who I am. And this attitude is causing me problems. Self-talk, dialogue, contemplation, my own inner dialogue. The chattering that most of us are doing most of the time is not dialogue, it's monologue. Somebody's jabbering in there, but nobody's listening. There's no dialogue. Dialogue means positive contemplation. And the training, mind, you silly mind, this is a goofy idea, mind. You use your own language. This is a goofy idea, mind. You're a great mind, and we've become pretty good friends. But this is goofy. This idea that this is just the way I am, no mind. And there begins the training.